Today we're going to take a little look inside my writer's notebook. This is my place to keep track of ideas and make sure that I always have things to write about. One of the best things I think to do is just to do a quick write, and I will often ask you to do this in class. Really? When you can't think of anything to write about, this is a great thing. You just start writing. Grab a pen, grab some paper, grab your computer, whatever it is you write with, but write. Write fast. Don't cross things out. And when you're stuck, write what's in your head, even if it's, I can't think of anything to write about. The next thing I like to do, and we've talked about this in class before, is make lists. I am a list maker. I make all kinds of them. This is one I already shared with you in class, but it's my people, places, and things list. Now I have several of these. This is just one that I am showing you. But it's relatively easy to do. Jump back and forth between the list. All you have to do is write down those things you already know about. This is one of my favorite lists that I've ever made. This is called an authority list, and I did two of them if you look. The first one I did was things I am good at, okay? Because oftentimes we don't think about things we're really good at. And notice, most of the time I'm not very serious here. I'm good at really getting things started. And if you notice my little note there, then I left to go do something else. I'm good at doing nothing. Most adults aren't. Most adults think they have to be busy all the time, but I'm really good at just sitting and watching paint dry, so to speak. I'm great at hanging up on telemarketers, really good at being a grandma, baking cookies. I'm good at talking to students, sometimes a little too good, and I'm great at singing along in the car, although you wouldn't want to hear me sing in real life. On the flip side of the what I'm good at is the I'm not so good at list. I'm not very good at follow-through. Like I said, I'm good at starting, not so great at finishing. I'm not very good at math. Don't tell Mr. Denner. I suck at golf, as I have talked about many times in speech class, but it's still fun and I'm not going to quit. I hate confrontation. I'm not very good at it. I generally tend to shut up and go hide in a corner. And I'm not very good sometimes at finishing things that I start, like scrapbooks, novels, some short stories. Why don't you take a few minutes here and make your own authority list? Stop the video, make a list either in your Google Doc or in your notebook, and make two lists. One of things you're good at, one of things you're not so good at. I'll be here when you're done. Another list that's good, and I haven't done very well with this one, are things that you like and things you dislike. So this one I started on a day when it was really nice outside, and I love sunny beach days. Who doesn't, right? I like bad boys, hence my affinity for stupid sophomore boys. Other things that I could add to this list would be I love plants. I hate to throw a plant away in my house, so you will find that I have some really sick-looking ones, but I'm determined to make them better. I like to cook, particularly bake. I like baking cookies, I like baking pies and brownies, and making dessert kinds of things. I'm not a very fancy cook, but I'm a good one. Things I dislike: winter. I hate winter. I don't understand it. Snow, shoveling, slippery streets, hate them all. I'm not a big fan of smoking, and I hate quiet classrooms. Have you ever noticed that? Okay, again, stop the video, take a little time, make your own list. Try for 3 or 4 things in each category. This is a list I made in 2011, and it was called 11 Things for 2011. You, guess what, are going to make 13 things for 2013. This was my list, though. I had 2 grandsons born that year, so that was kind of fun. We bought a new trailer. I bought new golf clubs. A friend of mine had cancer. Large group speech went to state, as did lots of people in individual. We saw a Nodis concert. I started my blog that year. I was not a NaNoWriMo winner that year. If you don't know what NaNoWriMo is, it is a contest that takes place in November, and you're supposed to write a novel in 30 days. I really failed at that one. And I don't remember what the 11th one is, and I can't really read it. Another interesting way to come up with ideas is what I call a heart map. This is a music heart map, and in it I'm putting songs that have made an impact in my life, for good or for bad. And so all I'm doing is writing them in, but it reminds me whenever I look at it of lots and lots of memories that go along with those songs. I'm sure you have those too. So maybe this time take a minute and sit down and start writing out songs that have particular memories for you, things that you could write about with this song perhaps as the background. One of the next things that I did in my writer's notebook was created a map. This happens to be a map of the house that I lived in up through 5th grade. I have a lot of great memories there. I have some bad memories there too, but mostly they're pretty good. So this is just my little neighborhood map. Notice I put our greenhouse on one side, and I put Myers on the other. That was our neighbors and my mom's best friend. They had 5 kids. There was lots of things that went on in our neighborhood. And so I spent some time and I wrote down several things that I remembered about that neighborhood. My sister hit the neighbor boy over the head with a metal phone, and he had to get stitches. There was a potato chip guy that lived next door over here, and he, a lot of times on Fridays, would bring home chips and give all the kids in the neighborhood a bag of chips. The back area of this house flooded every winter and would freeze over, and so we used to ice skate back there. We didn't have ice skates, but it didn't matter. We liked to pretend we lived back in the pioneer days, and we often played school, believe it or not, and I was always the teacher. I wasn't a very nice one either. Why don't you take some time now and draw a map of some place that's important to you and see what you come up with for some writing ideas. Here are just a list of things that I could put in my writer's notebook. I haven't done them all yet, but these are just a list of ideas, so when I get stuck, I can come back here and maybe get some ideas. You could try some of these if you wanted to, or you could put this list in your notebook and then you'll have the same list of ideas. I also collect journaling prompts. Sometimes you will see them up on the board for things for you to write about, but mostly they're for me. I write a blog, as many of you know, and every Tuesday I do a Slice of Life challenge. Sometimes I have a hard time with those posts, so these prompts are my fallback posts, so to speak, and I can always go to this list and come up with something to write about. Here are some more writing ideas. Feel free to steal away. Here's a list I've started, and I keep adding to it, as you can see. That's why it's in so many different colors. It's 100 things I love. I found the idea on Pinterest, where I get some of my greatest writing ideas, and decided I would start my own. I'm about halfway through. I haven't added to it in a while, but I have a feeling that I'll be finding some more things to put in it as we go along through this school year. I always keep post ideas in my writer's notebook so that when it gets time to blog, I have some ideas. So I have them written throughout my writer's notebook. I save quotes. Sometimes they're things I hear students say. Sometimes they are things that I find in books. But they always kind of prompt some things in my head and give me ideas. So I like to write them down. This particular one, Caught in a Hurricane of Hormones, is a just one of my favorite quotes. I think it's a great way to describe high school. Here are some other ones that I have. That I have found. Don't you love this John Lennon quote? Some more great lines. This is another particular favorite that a student said last year that I just had to write down. Again, I oftentimes copy down ideas or lines from things that you write, as I find really fun ideas or great things the way that you said them. So I put those in my writer's notebook also. Sometimes, just so you know, they find their way into a blog post. One thing that I found in a book that I read is that you can take one topic and write about it in about 18 different ways. This was my attempt at writing about the lake and different ideas that I could come up with. We'll talk about some of these different ways to write as we go through the year, particularly express and reflect, because it's my favorite way to write. Just some ideas that I wrote down for some poetry. This is another one. My grandson one day said to me, "When I grow little, Grandma," and so that prompted a poem that I shared on my blog. Here are some things that you can catch in your own writer's notebook. You don't have to do everything that I do, but it's a good idea to just start collecting ideas. So whether you keep your ideas in an actual notebook or on a Google Doc on your computer, it doesn't matter, but keep adding to the things that you have done throughout this video. And don't forget, what power, what importance lies in the blank lines of an open notebook. Go and fill yours, then share.